Welcome to the wildlife of Crystal Cove, where with the help of the resident ravens, I will give you a one-of-a-kind tour of California's most unique state park. We'll begin with a brief tour in the historic district. Next, we'll make our way along numerous walking paths out to some of my favorite lookout points. Then, we'll kick off our shoes and go barefoot along 3.25 miles of soft, sandy beach. We'll complete our tour with breathtaking views along the tops of the cliffs in the middle of the park. All the while, the ravens and I will be pointing out the wide variety of Crystal Cove's incredible wildlife and giving you pointers as to where and when you will be most likely to see it for yourself. Before we begin, please let me remind you that you are journeying through a wildlife reserve. Watch, listen, and pay close attention, for there are dangers ahead and carelessness is not rewarded. I do not recommend using a cell phone, and don't take the dogs with you, no matter how small. Most wildlife considers even the far-off distant smell of a dog an intruder to run from. Wear clothes and shoes that are both weather-conscious and that you are comfortable in. Sunscreen and or a hat is also a good idea. Although most of the pathways are wide, and some are even asphalt, you will be traipsing across many different types of terrain. You can carry water if you'd like to, but for the most part, you will not be more than 20 minutes away from both restroom facilities and fresh water. For me, a good quality camera with a zoom lens, some money for a snack or a meal, and perhaps a pair of binoculars would be the most important items I would carry. I would be pointing out our most popular residents and visitors to the park. However, this is a tour, not a scientific expedition. If you are into knowing more details about exactly what kind of bird or beast you are looking at, the store in the historic district carries both quick find brochures and complete field guides on most of the wildlife found in the park. With that, let's begin. Okay, whether you are fortunate enough to be staying in one of the cottages, or are just visiting for the day and have parked in Los Troncos and have taken the shuttle down, we'll start our wildlife tour in the historic district, because there's lots to see down here. Know that the season and the time of day is going to greatly determine who and what you might come in contact with. From late fall to midwinter, the park may be dark when it opens at 6 a.m. So don't be surprised to see an owl or hear frogs in the water passageways that head down to the beach. If the sun is just coming up, you'll hear the sounds of many birds, including two of my favorite raven friends, Harold and Maude. It's actually their territory that we'll begin our tour in. Let's make our way down to the beach and scan the entire waterline from surf to horizon. We're looking for whales, dolphins, sea lions, and seals. If you're serious and you really want to see something, plan on spending at least 10 minutes looking. Many marine mammals can hold their breath for at least that long, and they can just pop up anywhere. This is a gray whale. We see them on their yearly migration heading south from about November to January, and then heading north again from about January to April, sometimes as late as May. If it's after 7 a.m., perhaps breakfast at the Beachcomber would be a nice way to start the day. The staff is more than willing to let you know when a whale or a dolphin has been spotted. From the restaurant, make your way to the bridge and check out the wildlife in our brackish waterway. Here you might find a variety of birds and waterfowl searching for food. Across the bridge you might see our resident hummingbirds and our house finches. Now we'll head out across the white bridge and up the stairs for a great view and another chance to see dolphins and whales. From May to November you just might see a blue whale off in the distance.
There we go.
Here again, breakfast awaits at the Shake Shack if you so desire. You'll see more about that and the view there towards the end of the tour. You'll notice Harold and Maude are eager to get on with it. But take your time and take a good look for other sea life that might be offshore.
Take it! Come on, go, 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 go!
When you're done, we'll head down the stairs, past the visitor center, and the information station, both of which can give you an idea of what's happening in the park, like the sea glass class I get to do on Wednesdays. Continue on, and there you'll see the store. This is a great place to stop if you're one of those who likes to know exactly what kind of whatever it is you're looking at, for they have great field guides to everything that moves in the park. And history buffs can get the lowdown on the cottages by people who grew up here. They also have things like sunscreen, hats, and sweatshirts, if you decide you need them. Out past the restrooms, you'll see a large tree on the left. Take a quick look and see if the osprey is in his favorite tree. If it's spring, you might see tadpoles and later frogs in the waterway just to the right of the tunnel, close to where the shuttle bus lets you off. In spring, you'll also see numerous birds nesting and then raising their young. My favorite are the Cooper's hawks, and of course my ravens. Harold and Maude changed their nesting area to this section of the park back in 2008 and have raised their kids here ever since. Okay, let's go back past Cottage 5, the headquarters for the Crystal Cove Alliance, towards the stairs on the right. Many times I'll see birds finding seeds and nectar in the nasturtiums and other vegetation found here. There's a roadrunner with his catch. I'll follow him up the top of the stairs and take a look to see if anybody's using the perch above. Perhaps there's something on the wires. And always be mindful of the water.
Between the two sailboats.
Further up are more favorite trees and shrubs for numerous birds. Some are nesters, some are year-round residents, but many are just visitors that happen to stop by during their migration. Turn around and head out to the deck in front of the office. Here you'll find 2 spotting scopes. Focus on the red buoy out in front of the bay and you should see sea lions on it. Then scan the entire horizon with the scope. If there's whales out there, you'll be able to see them clearly with the scope. I like to watch to see if they fluke. That is, to show their tail after their last blast of steam, right before the whale makes its dive.
Come on, show me some tail. Pull it up. There we go. Yeah!
He may be down for 6 to 15 minutes before we'll see him again. So take your time and enjoy it up here. There's lots to see from this deck. It makes a great place for a snack or a picnic, and the locals know to check in here about 11 a.m. to see if there's a cancellation in one of the cottages. Leaving the deck, we'll head out along the dirt path. We'll be heading towards those cabanas. Listen carefully and you should hear and perhaps see many varieties of birds along much of this walkway.
Get up higher so I can see you clearly. There we go.
Cottontails are plentiful here. Be sure to keep a sharp eye out for bobcats and coyotes, for it's along this pathway that I most often see them.
What you doing? Acting like you don't see me. Uh-huh. You do.
The path will change from dirt to asphalt, and here we see Maude with a pesky crow in tow. Let me mention again, I always watch the ravens and crows because many times they're the ones that will show me where a bobcat or a coyote might be. At the same time, I always keep an eye scanning back towards the water because I never know when a whale or a pod of dolphins may happen by. Soon you'll come to what I call Cooper's Hawk Tree. Many times this is where I'll park when I first come into the park at 6 in the morning. The silhouette of a Cooper's hawk just might be the first thing I see. Today there's a number of crows, but not for long. Okay, turn left down the pathway to the lookout point. This is my favorite for sunrises. During the time I spend here, I usually see a variety of wildlife. Both a raven and an osprey may appear at first light. I'm constantly taking in the sweeping views, and many times I'll see dolphins and other marine life. Sometimes it's close. Sometimes way off in the distance.
Yeah.
Once in a while, the bobcat will wander by. When the water is crystal clear, I love to watch the pelicans and other waterfowl, like the cormorants, hunt. And here a seal dawdles in the waves with his morning catch. Pelicans zoom by, sometimes so close you feel you can reach out and touch them. Look, the osprey's out fishing.
Whoa, good job. Can you talk to me today? You haven't said a word all morning.
Off in the distance, you might see all kinds of birds, dolphins, seals, and sea lions dining on a bait ball of fish.
Always looking for whales.
And here's a special treat: dolphins getting ready to form what we know as birthing circles. This is where they'll float in a circle and a mother will give birth in the center. Today, there's 3 of them. And later today, we'll see their very bouncing babies. After a successful birth, it's time to play and celebrate. And then, surf. When the ravens are out and about, many times they'll point out something I might have missed. 2 young ravens chase and play with a very fast and dangerous enemy, the peregrine falcon.
Somebody's in the territory. Bobcat?
I head down the ramp because the cat seemed to be heading towards what I call a mini Grand Canyon-like gorge. At the bottom of the ramp, I find a baby rattlesnake. Now, they generally try to avoid humans and are rarely seen out here, but this is why I recommend leaving both the cell phone and the dog at home. You're not going to see or hear a snake if you're on the phone, and most dogs aren't properly trained to stay away from snakes. At the entrance to the gorge, the ravens make it clear: Bobby's here. Back up the ramp, a squirrel begs for food. Please don't feed them. Instead, look out seaward and perhaps you'll see a gray whale. And if you do see whales, it's always nice to point them out to others.
That's a good one.
It always amazes me how calm and collected ravens can appear to be, and especially in comparison to crows. But that can all change in a moment's notice, and especially when somebody's in their territory, like when they alert me to the coyote above. And then, on this occasion, a red-tailed hawk.
So where are your kids, huh? Where are the kids? They safe? Wow.
Stop at the cabanas and look to see what's happening there. A roadrunner makes a very unique call. Cooper's hawk chases a raven. The raven, not to be outdone, chases a Cooper's hawk. This area also makes a nice rest or picnic stop. Next, we're going to head towards Treasure Cove, but there's two ways to get there. If you're a beach type person, follow Maud back to the lookout point, take a look for whales, and then watch her dance and play. Now, you can follow her along the beach all the way to Pelican Point and then to Treasure Cove. Or you can take to the walking paths above through Gus and Lisa's territory. There, you may have an opportunity to see and hear more birds, The choice is yours, but I will share that I hear from my walking and running friends that it's on this stretch many see the coyotes and bobcats most often. There's also restrooms and water on this path. But regardless of which way you choose, this is our next destination, Treasure Cove. Take time to explore this area, for its beauty and geological features are very unique. There's caves to explore, and if the tides are low and still going out, the truly adventuresome may want to carefully hike to the secret cove around the corner. But I warn you, the rocks are sharp and can be very slippery, so great care and caution and proper footwear are recommended. Look how those layers are folded to form almost a perfect Z. After you've thoroughly enjoyed Treasure Cove, you may want to kick off your shoes, because next we're going to trek over 3 miles on the beachfront all the way down to the end of the park to Abalone Point. Okay, this is my favorite part of the journey. First, I'm barefoot on the beach, and I've got the constant sound of the ocean waves. And this is also the time when I get to see most of the large marine mammals. Here's what it looks like on the map. We leave Treasure Cove and walk roughly 3¼ miles, as the raven flies, on the beach, all the way to the far southeast end of the park, called Abalone Point. To some people this is a daily walk, so they tend to go rather quickly. I prefer a long, leisurely stroll. So, although it's possible to walk this stretch in a brisk pace in far less than an hour, I'd plan on at least 2 or more. Just a quick note on restrooms. There's only 2 that are close to the beach, at the historic district where we began, and then almost at the end of the journey at the lifeguard station. All the other restrooms you'll need to go back up a ramp and out to a parking lot to get to them. Let's begin by following this swallow down the beach. Take notice, on the left, of the varied cliff and rock faces as you go. If it's been raining recently, you might even see a few of our small waterfalls. But don't take your eyes from the water too long, for it's easy to miss something. Every once in a while, especially first thing in the morning, sometimes I'll see dolphins heading southeast, and it's kind of fun to keep pace with them. We also have numerous rock formations with a variety of sedimentary layers at the waterline, but as to what you will actually see will depend on how much sand is on the beach, for the beach can change daily, and I've seen as much as 2 to 3 feet of sand either deposited or eroded just in one night. You will most likely see many different types of birds, and especially shorebirds. Here again, both the season and the weather will be a determining factor. Spring and fall bring us the most varieties because those are the times many birds tend to migrate or nest in the park. While watching the seal, something above me caught my eye. Oh, it's an osprey hunting. I've seen up to 3 in the park at the same time, and I would say by their relationship, I would guess that it's a mating couple and their juvenile offspring from that year. Hey, nice fish. The Crystal Cove Alliance is the nonprofit dedicated to preserving the history and integrity of the park. One of their goals is to make all of the cottages available for public use. Set in 3 phases, with the first 2 phases already complete, the 17 cottages on the beach are the third and final group to be renovated. In the meantime, they make a great California beach ghost town, perfect for photographers and painters. The plants and flowers that were left here also attract wildlife. Make sure to turn around every once in a while and look towards the water. Right out in front of the cottages and the Beachcomber restaurant is one of the more popular places for marine animals to hang out. Perhaps there's a base beneath that orange float out in front that attracts fish, so the dolphins, seals, and sea lions have something to eat. Because they not only pass by, they're known to stay and play a while.
Surf today, huh? Are you willing to surf today?
And then there are the times when it looks like a proud mom is just showing off her bouncing baby. Remember those dolphin birthing circles we saw earlier when we were up on the cliffs? Well, for some reason, it's right here in front of the cottages where I see the young ones more than anywhere else in the park. I love to watch them just pop up out of the water. Many times I'll get direct eye contact and they seem curious as to who I am and why I might be so interested in them. If the lobster boat is out and about picking up its day's catch, many times we'll see hopeful birds and sea lions.
There you go. There you go. Woo!
And here at the point, just past the beach's cottage, we get to see some dolphins surfing.
Yeah. Take off. Take off. Woo-hoo-hoo.
And then my friend Harold flushes out a peregrine falcon for us. Next section of beach is some of the park's best tide pools, but depending on how much sand is on the beach will determine how much life will be visible. If there's a lot of rock exposed, it's easy to spend hours just looking at all the color and variety of life forms. The best time, of course, is as the tide's going out to the low tide area. Be careful you don't get caught with the tide coming in. You might get wet. And who knows what these gulls are bickering about. You can also see lots of crabs at low tide, and different varieties. Numerous creatures look like huge snails without their shells. And even the beach itself can be a treasure trove of fun stuff to look at. On a really good day, there's a variety of different kinds of shells. These beautifully worn snail shells and the abalone shells are some of my personal favorites. Ever seen a brown mussel with its pearly white interior? Now these aren't dead lobsters. Lobsters outgrow their hard shells and they have to shed them, so they get left on the beach. A quick glance back at the water catches a grebe taking a dive.
In the impact zone, huh?
Sea stars are a favorite in the park, and they come in a variety of shapes and colors. Many times they'll be on the south side of the rock, so go out as far as you can and look back away from the water towards the cliffs, and then you may see some underneath the rocks. Ever seen a sea star move? A huge variety of birds use the rocks and pools for a variety of reasons. And many marine mammals will rest upon the rocks. Here, a baby sea lion catches its breath. Rounding the next point, there happens to be a large gathering of gulls. And we see a juvenile brown pelican taking a break. A little further down the beach, we see a baby sea lion taking a break also. Now, more often than not, these young ones are just tired and need a rest, and mom is probably hiding just offshore waiting for her young one to return to the sea. So please move around them slowly and quietly. Give them plenty of room, and remember they are strictly protected by marine mammal laws. And please, don't get between a baby sea lion and the water. As we turn around, we see the show's about to begin. These dolphins are playing just about 15 to 30 feet offshore. A number of them are so close they're inside the surf line. This Crescent Cove is another popular place for the dolphins to perform. I've seen the dolphin birthing circles in this section also. And then right behind us, the Moro couple shows off and plays.
There we go. Hi, guys.
And now we head out to Reef Point, where there's almost always something going on there. Many birds, seals, sea lions all use these rocks for both food and a place to rest. Low tides are also great for exploring the tide pools. Just a quick reminder, always be aware and observant of where you're stepping or reaching. Once in a while there are snakes even this far out on the beach. This king snake is our friend. They help keep the rattlesnake population in check, as does the roadrunner on the cliff behind me. I love to watch the osprey shake after a dive. This next section of beach is popular with divers, surfers, and fishermen. Low tides can be great here also. I try to imagine the giants who made these huge footprints. Maybe they were our rock monsters. I love surprises, and today it's a gray whale right offshore that's only about 20 feet from us. And there's a baby one with her. And dolphins too. So we'll stop and enjoy this because we don't get to see this close very often.
You must be scratching yourself on the bottom there. Cool, baby. I'm just right here in the surf line. We're just right outside the surf line here. Little one. Dolphins.
Since they're moving a little further offshore, I'm going to run up the wood stairs and get a different view.
Never seen? Dolphins are having fun. Here's a little one. Right off the point here.
Later, we'll see more of the whales from that point over there.
Let's see if I can see. There we go. There's a baby. Just wallowing.
A lizard watches. And this is typical of Edgar showing off. We'll head back down the stairs and continue our beach walk towards Morro Cove. Another long, slightly crescent beach, great for viewing all kinds of wildlife. In the spring, wildflowers attract both birds and butterflies. And on this clear, magnificent day, it's just great to be able to stop and watch the birds dive. Morro Cove is another area of the park where the dolphins are known to both hang out and play. Here again, I love to watch the young ones play with Mom. Sometimes early in the morning, I'll see deer up on the cliffs behind us. This is one of our longtime locals, body surfing the waves just like the dolphins do. He starts by using the backside of the wave and then popping out the front. Once in a while, I'll go out and get a few of my own on handmade wooden pipo boards. Know that all kinds of strange things wash up onto the beach. This one is called a pyrosome, and it's not an individual, but an entire colony of living creatures. Pretty strange looking, huh? And then, down at the very end of the beach at Abalone Point is another favorite feature for geologists. These are called columnar joints, and they're in volcanic rock. Okay, now we'll head back down the beach towards that ramp at the end. On the way back, we catch more kids at play. And here's a perfect example of a sea lion surfing the backside of the wave.
Woohoo! Surfing dude.
Take a moment to look to see if there's anything fun near the freshwater pond at the base of the ramp, like these frogs. The freshwater also attracts numerous birds. Then, before heading up the ramp, I always take one last look at the water, because no matter how many times I see the dolphins, I never tire of watching them.
Jump, kid, jump.
Upon reaching the top of the ramp, there's restroom and water off to the right, and the Morro Cove outlook off to the left. Many times the first thing I see is a roadrunner. And here we have just another beautiful Crystal Cove day. I love watching the dolphins way off in the distance. back out at the path, I get flashed. Passing by the next set of restrooms, the Roadrunner makes its more typical cooing sound.
You sound like one of them. What's up, huh? How come you sound like one of them?
Keep a sharp eye out as you go, for we may see other birds and wildlife as we continue down the path towards what I call Whale Point. Now, it's actually called Reef Point, but this is where I've seen more kinds of whales, dolphins, and other marine mammals than anywhere else in the park. Every day is completely different. Sometimes it's sea lions frolicking. A fast pod of common dolphins goes streaking by. Remember the gray whale and the calf we saw earlier? Here's a view of them going around Reef Point. And there's the little calf popping his head up. I've seen blue whales fairly close on a number of occasions.
There we go, 2. Look at the size of those guys.
Many birds go right by at the tip of the point. And did I mention the views? You can see from out in front of Main Beach Laguna all the way past the harbor of Newport. This point is also the dividing line between two of my favorite raven couples, Edgar and Lenore on one side,
Thank you. Oh, that is beautiful. Hey there.
and the Moro couple on the other.
Hey. Oh, thank you. The drop again? Oh, right in front of me. Thank you very much. That was, like, perfect. Yeah, look at that.
And this being the Moro couple's territory, I get many shows from the ravens.
Wow. Do it again. Wow.
I also like to come here whenever there's a gale force wind, because many times 3 to 4 raven couples will gather at this point and play together.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Lizards seem to like it here also, for I've seen a number of different colors, shapes, and sizes.
What are you doing?
At times, it's such a busy corner, it's difficult to choose who and what to watch. The surf break can be pretty good here too, and once in a while, you'll see dolphins making use of it.
Come on, guys, take off. Now jump. There we go. Woohoo!
Yeah, I can easily spend hours up here, and sometimes I do. As we continue on, there's more beautiful views, birds.
Hi there. You do that again? Oh, thank you. That was a pretty song. Want to look at me now? Huh? Show me. There we go. Show me your pretty face. Beautiful. You look good in there. There we go.
Whales.
Looking at the whales too? Huh? You looking at the whales too? Yeah, that's what I thought.
I have to tell you, this was a very unusual day. It took more than 2 hours for this mother and calf to move through the park. They entertained a lot of people that day. But personally, I never see too many blue whales.
That's a tail. That's a tail.
And there's even more along the cliffs. As we head towards the Shake Shack. Remember earlier I told you that for some reason much of the marine life likes to stop and play in front of the cottages? Well, here's the perfect bird's eye view. Combine that with the way the beach bends and the way the wind blows against the cliffs, there's constant entertainment. You can even have lunch with an osprey. This is also a fun place to grab breakfast, lunch, dinner, or just coffee and a snack.
Hi guys.
I love pointing out various wildlife and watching the excited reactions of kids or people from far off who've never seen a whale or dolphins in the wild before. Blue whales way off in the distance are always a crowd pleaser.
Woo-wee. Look at that.
Or dolphins racing towards you, trying to catch a meal.
Wow. There she goes. That's Mom. Now look at the size of her. And there's the baby.
How about a mother gray whale nursing her calf right outside the surf line? Almost makes you want to stay in one of those cottages below, huh? The park closes at sunset, so much of the wildlife can have it to themselves during the night when many come out to feed. So it's time for me to start heading home. On the way out, Harold and Maude point out a bobcat that's already out and about. The osprey looks pretty good in the evening sun. I stop at the top of the stairs to watch a roadrunner dine on some snails.
Escargot. Hi, bud.
On the pathway above, just before crossing the street to my car in Los Troncos parking area, I turn for one last look at Catalina Island. I catch the brilliant contrast of the raven's black silhouette against the orange sky and the last spout of a whale. How's that for a memory? I can't think of a better way to spend the day.